One of the things that I talk about in my book is that music is very important to me in my life. Music really reaches my heart. And I talk about how when I was a child, I would wake up early on Sunday mornings to tune into Mahalia Jackson just because I felt so different when I would listen to that music, which is gospel if you're not familiar with it. And also I talk about how the highlights of my childhood were singing along with my sister to Mary Poppins and the Sound of Music CDs. I am, as I mentioned, I am not a musician. This book that I'm going to read from is by Morton Feldman, and he talks about music in a lot of ways that I have a hard time understanding because I'm not a musician, and he lived in a community that was, in terms of his friends and his world, was very much made up of musicians and of actors and other artists. So again, a lot wasn't necessarily what I could relate to, but I'm going to read one part that I really liked, and because it's about what we're taught, and I want to preface it by saying that I incorporate music with my grandson every single day that I'm with him. Whether I sing to him, I always sing to him. I will clap, I will stomp, I will play musical instruments, even if it's just taking two of whatever, let's just say taking two things and going and making rhythm. So that's something that, again, I feel is natural and needs to be developed so that people can express it. Anyway, I'm going to read a short bit from this book by Morton Feldman. We are taught to think of music as an abstract language, not realizing how functional it is, how related to that other spirit, whether it be literary or literary metaphor. Can we say that the great choral music of the Renaissance is abstract? Quite the opposite. And I'm going to probably mispronounce this name, Josquin, who had a genius for making a gorgeous musical coloration around a devotional word, uses music to convey a religious idea. And the chapter in my book about music is all about bhakti yoga. And bhakti yoga I translate as the yoga of devotion, and it is my favorite form of yoga. If you're not familiar with bhakti yoga, check out my website, deborahcharnes.com, and I have tons of articles, blogs that I've written that are about bhakti yoga. One takes it for granted that Beethoven's Grosse Fuge is composed of abstract components, making a magnificently abstract musical whole. It was only recently that I really began to hear it for what it is, a very literary, stormy hymn. A march to God. The abstract, in the sense I use the term, has appeared in art all through the history of art, an emotion that philosophers have failed to categorize. To make it perfectly clear that it is this uncategorized emotion that I wish to describe, we had better call it the abstract experience. We would like to surrender to this abstract experience. We would like to let it take over, but we must constantly separate it from the imagination, or rather that aspect of the imagination that is in the world of the fanciful. In my own work, I feel the constant pool of ideas. On the one hand, there is this inconclusive abstract emotion, and then a concrete, tangible way. Paul Klee attests to the infinite possibilities of the imagination. The abstract, or rather the abstract experience, is only one thing, a unity that leaves one perpetually speculating. And I'm going to close with that because he's talking about unity. And I do consider myself a yogi. I'm a yoga therapist, but I've been practicing yoga for 50 years. And yoga is not, I always say, yoga is not about doing headstands and pretzel twists. Yoga is about unity. And it can be a union of oneself in the divine, which is bhakti yoga. It can be a unity of yourself and nature. It can be so many different kinds of unity. I am Deborah Charnes. Check out my website, deborahcharnes.com. I have written maybe about 100 blog posts, and they are categorized, so you can click on a tab that says Bhakti Yoga, and you can learn more about Bhakti if that's something you're interested in. Thank you so much for joining, and let me know, what does music mean to you?